Hey everyone, we're going to be talking about real estate today, during COVID, after COVID, and what it was like right before, and how things have changed in society. So we hope you enjoy today.
Welcome to episode 2.
That's right.
3 balls, 2 strikes, pressure is on. This is where we discuss real estate, property improvement, and business. Together we'll strategize on how to win. Welcome to the Full Count.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Full Count. As Andrew mentioned, we're going to be going over a couple of things regarding real estate and COVID today and how that's affected the entire housing market. So we're going to go over some of our thoughts, findings, what we've seen as far as real estate and housing prior to COVID, how COVID affected it, and where we are now. So I guess with that, I'll hand it off to you, Andrew.
Yeah, so right before COVID, we were already seeing a little bit of a softening in terms of real estate prices. Nothing drastic or anything, like a healthy little softening. In 2018, we saw rates go from 4.5% at a short moment at the very end of the year, it went to 5%. And then 2019 started to come down a bit because prices kind of softened a little bit, maybe 3 to 5%. At least I'm speaking for Southern California. And then COVID happened, right? And we saw the drastic downhill in sales. Everyone was scared to get out. But shortly after, we realized during the lockdown period, everyone's like, you know what? Where I live matters. And if I'm not going to go into the office, I need to love where I'm working from my office. So they created an office out of one of their bedrooms, their garage, or they said, you know what? I need a bigger space. I can't handle it. So they ended up buying property and less commuting. So people are like, I am really boxed into my house and it's more important than I ever thought. And then there's where you come in. They're like, I need to do a home improvement. I need to paint. Things like that, and prices started just going sky high, and that's where we're at now.
There was a lot there, Andrew. So why don't we step back for a second and kind of break that down a little bit, right? So you're saying, you were quoting some of the rates prior to COVID, right? Where did those come from? Where are you getting that from? What gave you that idea, et cetera? Being a real estate agent there in LA as you are.
Well, mortgage rates affect everyone for the most part. People that have the money, it doesn't really affect them so much. The ones on the higher caliber of income, they get affected by the stock market. So in 2018, I don't know if you remember, in December 2018, we had a stock market scare, and that accumulated to the issue in 2018, 2019, where things softened a little bit. And mortgage rates matter because of that, because you're not paying necessarily for the house price, which you are in many ways, but what's more important is the mortgage that you're paying every month, the monthly mortgage, because when the rate goes up, the monthly mortgage goes higher. If the rate goes down, the monthly mortgage goes down. So it's a give and take. And that's why mortgages are so important, Nick.
Right. So what were you telling at that time, say pre, 2019? What were you telling buyers like myself?
I mean, what do you mean? Like, what more specific?
So what advice were you giving buyers at that time?
It feels like a lifetime ago to say the least. I was telling them,
would you agree with the statement that like people say it's never the wrong time to buy? I guess just maybe a starting point.
If it's for your home, if it's for your home and you do your due diligence, you have a good realtor, you do inspections, as you know. And you have, the answer is yes, I agree with that. If you have a good, stable job, if you are happy with your job and you don't plan to leave, if your household is complete, right? And you like where you're at. And if you plan to stay in there 7 to 10 years, because there's a cycle in real estate, right? Like the stock market, whether you buy it at that moment and the price goes down, if you stay 7 to 10 years, the price is going to come back up like it always does in real estate, long-term investing. So I would say that's
so going back to Nick's question, is that some of the stuff that you would I
would kind of tell them that. Yeah, I would tell them that. And I would also tell them you might have a higher rate. Prices softened just very little. In some markets it didn't, but you can always refinance. You can have that high rate, I think at 4.5%, 2018, refinance a year or two later, which we saw in 2020, went to 2.5 or whatever the case may be. So everyone that I helped buy in 2018, 2019, they all refi.
Yeah, everyone who pulled the trigger was like,
Yes. So that's why I think it's important to just invest, and you got to do it when it feels right for you.
Right. Yeah, I know we were having some discussions even back then when I was looking, right?
Yeah.
2018, 2019. And I mean,
I guess you could have said, what did I tell you, right?
Yeah,
think
right, exactly.
I told him basically what I just said right now. And
Did you end up
accumulate.
buying, Nick?
No, I haven't. Did not end up buying.
You
No.
should have.
Yeah, even though I probably
but
But looking in hindsight, right?
hindsight.
Yeah.
But what we've seen now with the whole COVID situation is, homes really do matter more so than people expected then, because a lot of times in our lives as Americans, we're at the office or we're at our work function or whatever the case may be. And now we're seeing everyone's more at home, and offices aren't as a hot commodity in real estate as it used to be.
Yeah, the whole work from home situation. I mean,
Yeah, remote work is huge.
remote work, man, everybody was working at home, and
Yeah.
the number of people who bought dogs too was crazy. So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
seeing a lot
I
of
saw that.
like a lot of patio covers, a lot of pergola builds, a lot of new wall, new fences, because people got so many dogs.
And that's
They
what
were
you were
like,
working on.
yeah, I mean, so many people got dogs and had no way to keep their dogs in the backyard without either running to the front or like maybe they had a big old fence in there. I mean, a hole in their fence.
Yep.
And they're like, well, now we have this puppy we don't want to leave, and we can't just fix one part. Let's just fix the whole front fence. And it was crazy.
That's right. That's right.
How much dogs affected like new fence builds.
All these
No,
little
it's
details in our lives does spill over and affects. It's like a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I bet that's when you were having a lot of fun in 2020, 2021.
Yeah,
with
that's when
people's remodels.
that's when I think really in the beginning of 2020, that's when I really realized, oh, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
Like this is what I really like, and I'm gonna figure out a way to make this my full-time thing.
That's right. Yeah, and with COVID lockdowns, now when that happened, and even after lockdowns, we saw society shift, right? Like every state, luckily,
I got a phone call.
I got a phone call. Let me get this back up again.
There
Sorry
you go.
about that.
There you go.
What was I saying? Oh, so in terms of like during COVID, things changed. We started seeing a migration of people leaving a current state to another state where there was more flexibility and there wasn't so many draconian restrictions of some sort. And I found that very fascinating, and that's why this country is so great, because we have our U.S. Constitution, then we have the state constitution. They can do to an extent as they please, right?
Mhm.
And we just saw mass migration going to not where you're at, but where your family's currently at now, Nick, which is Florida. Everyone's going there, Texas, Arizona, and they're still going there, leaving a lot of the West Coast, East Coast states.
Yeah, I mean, housing was ramping up even before COVID started there, right? And then once it started, just exponentially grew. It just blew up.
Yeah.
And so the prices have exponentially risen.
I know around at what point did you see, Andrew, I guess like inventory of houses start to grow again? Like were there a lot of higher end homes being for sale? Because I know
During
like
which time?
like in 2020 when I was looking to buy 2021, actually leading up to 2021, halfway through 2021, the first half, that's when I was looking to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was impossible to get a place.
Yeah. So again, because the real estate became so hot of a thing to have and attain, prices went up and inventory has been low for many years.
But did you see a lot of higher end homes of people who were like maybe higher income were migrating out of California towards somewhere like Texas, Florida, or something like that?
I did see that. I did see that a lot more so in LA than like in Orange County, San Diego. More of those people kind of stayed where they're at, or they upsized. In LA, it depends. People that are affluential with financing and whatnot, they buy. What I saw them do more so is buy their second home, their vacation home, their investment property, or whatever the case may be.
So not really
around the
selling.
No, not really selling. And that's a very important component to this whole situation with the inventory in the United States. I think right now it's like 1.2 million homes are for sale around the country. And that includes homes that are in escrow, but also homes that are literally active on the market, ready to sell. In 2007, there was 3.7 million homes for sale. 3.7 to 1.2. There's a big difference there.
Big gap.
And you say 2007 because you're talking about
Financial
before
crisis.
2008, yeah.
And there's 16 million more households today than there were in 2007. So there's more of a population now that are all going after, not all, but they're going after homes. So you have a supply and demand issue. And that's what we've been seeing, that inventory keeps going down. If you get a graph and you scale back, you start seeing inventory just come down. And we're going to start seeing more inventory come back up again now that, restrictions have been gone for a while in COVID and things like that, and the cycle towards the summer, inventory shoots up, and it's still going to be a problem though, I think, with inventory, and that's the only reason why prices haven't fallen yet.
So out there in LA, I have a curious question for you. Did you see, when COVID started, I mean, ever since probably like 2020, right? All these overnight, millionaires almost that from different social media content creators, those who made, overnight millionaires through crypto, right? Did you see a lot of those out there buying places?
In LA, yeah, we saw that. I think crypto fell in the first 6 months of this year, end of June. I think it fell 80% overall crypto. So those people are feeling it. NFT people are feeling it. But yeah, I saw a lot of that. I started seeing more Lamborghinis, Ferraris in Beverly Hills. I'm sure you probably did too.
I've always seen Ferraris and Lamborghinis in Beverly Hills.
But they're probably leases.
Beverly Hills, I mean.
Well, Hollywood Hills too. I think a lot of them are leases too.
Oh, okay.
And I think, I'm not saying I have seen a little bit less. I'm not correlating the two, but maybe there is a correlation there. But people that were in the crypto space that boomed, they busted recently. Although I don't know, crypto is such a new financial instrument that maybe it's one of those things that you just stay invested long enough that it's going to come back up, because we've seen it come up and down. But yeah, I've seen a little bit of that.
Yeah, because I'm sure that's affected the housing market too, with all these people, becoming overnight millionaires, right? And then buying and investing in real estate.
Yeah, but I think it's such a minimal population of people that boomed in crypto that I don't think I think it was like a tiny little ripple effect that didn't really ripple much. But I do want to throw out a stat, or not a stat, but some good info that I got from the Wall Street Journal about people migrating out of the blue states and going to red states where your family is, Nick, and where I want to eventually buy some property. So it's saying, by many measures, red states, those that lean Republican or red, have recovered faster economically than Democratic-leaning blue ones, with workers and employers moving from the coast to the middle of the country and Florida. Red states have added 341,000 jobs over that time, while blue states were still short 1.3 million jobs as of May. So we're seeing, a bunch of small business owners which got, annihilated out in the West Coast and East Coast along the coast. A lot of them decided to move geographically to the middle of the country or Florida, where it's a little bit easier, not so restrictive on small businesses that ended up not doing well. And it's just less expensive too in terms of taxes.
Do you see those being the main reason? Now, I do want to know, we're not going to get into politics or anything.
No politics. It's just policy.
We're not swaying one way or another.
No.
But do you think those are the main reasons for that type of statement?
I think in terms of migration out of the state,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, we saw Joe Rogan leave too. We saw a lot of people leave, a lot of celebrities, but I know a lot of people that left. So let me see. There's another one too. Let's see. It says Moody's Analytics developed an index of 13 metrics, including the value of goods and services produced, employment, retail sales, and new home listings. 11 of those 15 states were all red states. So the red states were the ones that recovered not recovered, but gained a lot of population. And what's that going to do to that state? It's going to build a hotter economy for them long term. And the blue states are the ones suffering a bit more. We also see too, it says the states that gained the most migrants levied an average maximum income tax rate of 3.8%. So there's where taxes becomes an important play for businesses and regular people, middle class or whatever. For Florida, Texas, Tennessee, and Nevada changed no income tax at all. The 10 states that lost the most residents to moves, migration, have an average tax rate of 8%. I think California, it's about 13.3%. So people left because of restrictions, less expensive to move in those other areas, and then the taxes. So I thought that was, I thought that was like a very important thing to note.
Yeah, interesting. So, Stephen, just to pivot to the construction scene, right?
Sure.
So what would you say the difference was between pre-COVID to during COVID to now, and the difference, how many people and how many jobs you have that need construction.
Yeah, it's interesting because although material was getting crazy expensive,
Right.
people who could afford it were still willing to put that. I guess because some of their daily costs were going down if they were staying home, weren't driving as much.
Mhm.
I don't know how exactly that kind of correlated into it, but material was super expensive and people were still remodeling.
Yeah.
That, like what you said in the beginning, people's want to have a nice, comfortable place to work at. They're going to be there all day, not only sit at the same table for 6 to 8 to 10 hours, but then leave that table and still be in the same room or the same house in their kitchen.
Yeah.
So they wanted to
feel
have
their
that.
pain.
Yeah. Or if they did leave their house and go to their backyard, they wanted to have a nice little rest area,
Right.
with a pergola patio. I saw like a lot of pergolas being built, a lot of
Outside
patio
space.
covers outside space.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
who wanted to renovate their backyards or their front yard to have somewhere to get out of the house and still be comfortable. Especially with the lockdowns and all that going on, where you were basically stuck at home. People were like, I still want to have my own little sanctuary somewhere else.
Yeah.
Whether
To
that
have a
means
serene space,
Yeah,
and I mean, that
whether
goes
means
back.
like a new,
I think we saw that a lot more so in the blue states too,
yeah,
because they're like, well, if we're not leaving, we got to be outside with the pergolas and have people over. Remember when on the news it was like, if you congregate with people, this was when it was okay to. If you congregate with people, make sure you set an outdoor space and you wear a mask. So that was important for someone like yourself, where you would go out and build that in people's backyards.
Yeah, and then the number of like restaurants too who were building
outdoor space.
makeshift outdoor spaces.
Yeah. So that was good for your community of contracting, but at the same time, the materials exploded because everyone's need chased those specific supplies, and then we had the whole ship shortages issues across China and Vietnam.
Oh, that was crazy too, because
factories, so
material was just not coming in.
Yeah, especially.
So I mean, what are you seeing the state of that being now?
I think it's soft. I think it's kind of back to normal. Still expensive though, but
lumber prices have gone down.
Lumber prices have gone down a lot.
Yeah, lumber prices have gone down a lot for sure.
Are you still seeing shortage on materials?
It's getting better. I would say like 22, midway through the year. I'd say like end of 2021.
Okay.
It was like impossible to like mid to end of 2021. I feel like it was impossible to get stuff.
How about appliances though? Appliances, I saw an issue up until like the first 2 months of 2022. Appliances like refrigerators, ovens, and things like that, because of the semiconductor shortage that we had. That was a big issue. I saw a lot of my clients not have the refrigerators that they needed, and they were really upset with obviously what was going on. Did you see that happen too in 2022?
Yeah, there was like the higher end stuff I think was still kind of available, but then shipping it was difficult. It was coming from somewhere else.
Got it.
Yeah. Inventory for like mid-range appliances and refrigerators was tough to get, just because nothing was coming in to replenish it.
Sure.
And that's kind of like the price range where people could afford, and it was just selling out like hotcakes. The number one thing that I saw was that like nobody could get, and it all happened because of Instagram, shorts and reels of people buying IKEA closets and then refacing them.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Have you guys seen that? People buy like an inexpensive IKEA closet and then they add really nice wood to make it look custom.
Right. Exactly.
So everybody saw those reels and was like, I want to do that to my closet.
I'm sure you had clients that did that.
Every freaking day. I was not every day, but like I was getting a lot of requests, and I was like, well, why don't you order it first, and then call me in like 3-4 months when it comes in.
That's a very efficient way when it comes to letting your dollar go a longer way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I did one that was a pretty big closet actually, and I would say for a custom closet would have been anywhere between like $15,000 to $20,000 on the size of this.
Wow.
And for materials alone, the IKEA came out to like $2,500, and then the wood to reface it came out to like another $1,500. So that's like $4,000 plus the labor. I think it ended up coming around like $7,500.
Versus what, 20,000?
Versus 15,000 or
15,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big difference. Big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some people who made their closets, ones would obviously bigger closets, but their office, their office space just to get a change of scenery. So they work from there because it was quiet space away from their kids,
Sure.
significant others, etc. So
Yeah, but that was go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say I want to kind of go back and harp a little bit on the mindset change, right?
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID, and now. You said that you were seeing a lot of renovations and serene spaces built, especially in like people's backyards, but just a place for them to get away, right?
Right.
And focus more on their mental health, right? And their overall well-being to kind of unplug a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because perspective, there was such a focus when COVID started on overall health and mental well-being. I mean, from big corporations down to the individual, right? So that's interesting to see how that kind of affected not only the housing market, but the rehab, market as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the energy that was put out in the world and to some degree was definitely needed spilled over to actual actionable actions, which was buying homes, selling their home, moving elsewhere, or
Right.
just hiring someone like yourself to make their area look better.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
So I know we are kind of short on time today. Nick,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the clock. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on at the end?
no, I think that's it. Like and subscribe. Let us know if you agree or disagree with what we're saying. Sometimes, we have different opinions, and I think that's a healthy conversation for debate. So,
Right. And we'll be elaborating on this a little bit more in the next episode. So tune into that one to get a little bit more details, some stats and things like that.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thank
Take
you.
care, guys.